All right, let's talk a little bit about Gitmo and what you do, as the president gets ready to close Gitmo. Where do you think those people should go?
Well, not for a soldier to say. What I do support is what has been termed, I think, a responsible closure of Gitmo. Gitmo has caused us problems. There's no question about it. I oversee a region in which the existence of Gitmo has indeed been used by the enemy against us. We have not been without missteps or mistakes in our activities since 9/11. And again, Gitmo is a lingering reminder for the use of some in that regard. Having said that, I also don't want to see those individuals back on the streets trying to reactivate networks to return to leadership in some of these networks.
What about the concern, having been so involved in all of this, that a Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or anybody of that ilk might be tried here in a U.S. court, and the possibility that because of some of the treatments that were used on them that they could go free?
Well, first of all, I don't think we should be afraid to live our values. That's what we're fighting for. It's what we stand for. And so, indeed, we need to embrace them, and we need to operationalize them in how we carry out what it is we're doing on the battlefield and everywhere else. So one has to have some faith, I think, in the legal system. One has to have a degree of confidence that individuals that have conducted such extremist activity would indeed be found guilty in our courts of law.
So you're confident that those people will never go free?
I certainly hope that's the case, yeah.
The former vice president has talked about waterboarding, which I know you've spoken against. He says that it was only used on 3 people and that he believes that it saved lives.
Well, my thoughts are that it's time to quit arguing about the past, probably take the rearview mirrors off this bus and look to the future. And again, if you start with the concept that we ought to live our values, that's exactly what we should do as we move forward.
The argument for having that discussion now is that there's always the possibility that a suspect could be in custody and an attack could be imminent.
Well, I mean, that's always the debate, the doomsday scenario, and that one I will be happy to leave with, again, our judicial system to determine whether there might be an exception that would require extraordinary but very rapid approval to deal with. But for the vast majority of the cases, our experience, downrange if you will, is that the techniques that are in the Army Field Manual that lays out how we treat detainees, how we interrogate them, those techniques work. That's our experience in this business.
So is sending this signal that we're not going to use these kind of techniques anymore, what kind of impact does that have on people who do us harm in the field that you operate in?
Well, actually, what I would ask is, does that not take away from our enemies a tool which, again, they've beaten us around the head and shoulders in the court of public opinion? When we have taken steps that have violated the Geneva Convention, we rightly have been criticized. And so as we move forward, I think it's important to, again, live our values, to live the agreements that we have made in the international justice arena, and to practice those.
Very interesting.
It is very interesting. And here's a man who straddles the 2 administrations, the Bush administration and now Obama. And clearly, he works for the commander-in-chief, and that's very clear. But he does differentiate himself on this issue of what some are calling torture and what others call enhanced interrogation techniques, and saying that he has never supported them. And he was part of writing interrogation techniques and manuals. And he firmly believes that there are, enough ways out there to achieve the goals that need to be made. And as he said right there, he thinks that the judicial system is the place to handle whether or not extreme measures, extreme circumstances might call for extreme measures. But he said, as a soldier, that's not my decision.
Values are often alterable and fungible during times of war. Classically, for example, President Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus. And so while values are very, very important, sometimes they need to be moved around a little bit under exigent circumstances, war.
And President Bush has just argued that once again as well, saying that he believed that in that moment that was the right thing to do. And that he was, stands by that decision. So it's a very interesting discussion. Thank you. And we're going to have some more for you.